Now, we're going to focus on a little bit more of the specifics of building a small business. What you'll see here is a bunch of circles and lines. What this actually is a representation of the functions involved in a small business, in virtually every small business. You can represent the functions of a small business with this graph. Now, there are some variations with different businesses, but what I'm going to give you here is the core, okay? And what we're talking about here are the three areas of a business in terms of its function. Okay, now follow me here. The first area is marketing. Okay, we call this marketing and sales. The second area of a business is operations. Okay, and the third area is finance and administration. Okay, every business has a marketing function. Every business has an operational function. Yeah, and every business has a financial and administrative function. Okay, so here is a pictorial representation, a graphic representation of what a small business looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the description in here next to this circle of what these functions represent. And what I'd like you to do is draw this same graph on a bit of paper, and in your business I'd like you to write down the name of the person in your business that performs this particular function that we're going to talk about now. Okay, just write down the name of the person who is performing that in your small or micro business. Okay, number one, in marketing, there is the marketing manager. That's the person that helps to generate the leads, to be able to create all the marketing material, the one who knows what the message is, what the medium is, who the target market is, and we'll have a talk about all of those shortly. Okay, the marketing manager. The next is the sales manager or salesperson. This is the person that actually contacts the clients, creates the sale, closes the business. Yeah? Okay, and then there is the advertising research function. Okay, I actually shouldn't speak of these as people. These are actually functions. You can have 4 people doing this if you like, but this is a function in the business. You have a marketing function, you have a sales function, and you have an advertising research function. So that's marketing, sales. In operations, you have the operations management, somebody who oversees and designs the operations. You have customer service, right? A customer service function which fulfills the promise of the marketing function. Some people call this client fulfillment, okay, or customer fulfillment, actually giving the client the product. And then there's a customer loyalty, which is the function of keeping existing customers on the books. Okay, that is a function of the business. Otherwise, you get a lot of bleed coming out of the business. Lastly, in the finance area, you have accounting function. You have a debtors function. So that's what customers owe you. Okay, accounting function is money in and money out. And last of all is MIS, what they call MIS, Management Information Systems. Management Information System. Now, the exercise I asked you to do before I wrote these functions up is to write the name of the person in your business that performs these actual functions. And what did you find out? I think you found out that you are operating in a hell of a lot of the functions in your business, if you're like most small business people. Now, people say to me, David, I don't have all of these people in my business. But you do have all of these functions in your business. And if somebody isn't performing these functions, the fact is they're not getting done. And these are critical functions. These are critical functions in a small business. If you don't have a marketing function, if you just open the doors and sit there and wait for the phone to ring, how long are you going to last in small business? Now, you might think that sounds crazy, but I know lots and lots of small businesses in my 34 plus years now of consulting to small business. I have seen so many businesses do exactly that. They will put perhaps an ad in the yellow pages somewhere, one of those little designed ads, and they'll sit there and they'll wait for the phone to ring. And while they're waiting, like on the plains of hesitation, their bones lay bleaching. And it's disappointing to see, so many good-hearted people who, have a commitment to the business, but they just don't perform a marketing function where they need to get out there and start shaking the bushes, start getting their message out to people. Right? So that's a marketing function. An operations function, of course, as we said, is just as critical as your marketing, because once you've sold something, you need to produce it. Okay, so as I say, people say to me, David, I don't have all these people in my business. You do have these functions, and your job as the business leader, the business owner, isn't necessarily to do all these functions yourself. In the beginning, you may have to, but if you're designing your business, when you're designing how your business is going to function, who is going to perform these functions, you don't have to allocate yourself to each of these boxes. If you don't have someone, if you don't have enough money to employ someone to do it full-time in the business, you can outsource. This is what we have here is outsource. Okay, outsourcing is a critical function because you may not know enough about finance, administration and accounting to do that function yourself. You may not know enough about marketing. Right? Generally you'll do all of the sales yourself, but you may not know much about lead generation or marketing. So get some help, get a consultant in. This is particularly true in the area of finance and administration. A lot of my audiences over the years have been people wanting to transition to a personal services business like life coaching or counseling or one of the interpersonal communicative types of professions, and they love dealing with people. They're very much the practitioners. They love the human experience. They love the people contact. They think it's great. Well, they don't have much energy to do things like accounting, recording, invoicing, and often that's the downfall of their business. And I'll be the first to put my hand up and say that was one of my stumbling blocks. At the beginning stage, about 20 years ago, when I transitioned from employment to self-employment, I purchased an accounting software program called QuickBooks through a friend of mine. And I thought, right, I'm going to do this of a night time after I finish doing what I need to do in the business. I'll sit down and I'll start, recording all the items and make all of this work. Well, I put it off and I put it off, which is certain death of a function in a business, because I had no energy for it. And I stumbled on for about 12 months. And then I went to a lecture like this and they said, outsource what you don't need, outsource what you don't need. And I thought, hey, I'm asking a bit much of my own energy and time to be banging my head up against a wall trying to learn this accounting software when there are people who can do it like that. So instead of now having all of this stuff that I have to input myself, I just have a little folder in my briefcase which says Bev. Right? Now Bev is my bookkeeper. So anything that I have in the way of requirements for accounting or debtor control or what have you, I just put in there in the folder, and once a month I give it to Bev, and then Bev looks after it. So Bev takes care of all of my finance and accounting bookkeeping needs on a daily basis, producing the BAS, producing all of the necessary returns. Now, I'm not saying abdication, this is delegation. Abdication is where you just give this over to someone and you don't keep an eye on it. You just go, I don't want to know about it. You own the small business, you have to at least understand what's going on, but you don't have to do the work yourself. Because remember I said you'll have very little energy for it. So does all that make sense? Right. So that's the function, or the functions of a small business.